Folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name is Jason Robertson and I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Thanks for joining us today, folks. And as always, a good morning to Kagan Girl, first in Rumble again. Folks, we are streaming live on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Rumble. Kagan Girl, first in the chat, as always. We keep needing to get her like the I'm the first to the podcast hat here. But Kagan Girl, thanks for tuning in. Thanks everybody for tuning in here. Wake-up call today for conservatives, Jason. I don't think conservatives understand the moment we are in and the fight we're up against.
Yeah, it's interesting because Todd and I, well, first off, before we get going, thank you so much for tuning in. We're streaming to you live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, X, and our personal favorite, the Rumble. We got a lot of cool people hanging out on Rumble, but the big reason we love Rumble, we're going to talk about some stuff in the first hour, and we got to couch our language a little bit. Then we're going to get into, and then we turn off the YouTube and the Facebook, and then we get to talk about some things we don't necessarily can talk about on the YouTube and the Facebook. And these first few topics, we're going to kind of tread the line because we're getting into some deep stuff. And Todd and I, we started talking early in the week, like, what do we want to talk about on Friday? And last week, for those who didn't tune in, we talked a lot about how Russiagate was being proven to be complete and utter BS. And it was the documents revealed at the end of last week were showing that Russiagate wasn't really a thing. It was an intelligence community creation, or whoever created it, the Hillary Clinton campaign, all the things. And we talked about a lot about the damage it did to the country. And there are normal people that you run into at the grocery store, at the restaurant, that are going to go to their grave thinking Donald Trump was installed by Vladimir Putin. And the people that committed that crime should be held accountable. And the truth is coming out. And this week we were going to talk about, and we're going to show you some crazy positions the left is moving to. I don't think conservatives realize how insane they are, the battle they're fighting. But then more Russiagate stuff came out, and I'm like, we probably need to touch on this. Todd, what did I miss about the Russiagate stuff?
Well, I just got to touch on this too, Jason. Kagan Girl says so much going on. Yeah, never worry about Jason and I trying to figure out, like, Jason, what should we talk about this week? There will always be something to talk about. But Russiagate, you nailed it. We were led for 10 years to believe that Donald Trump conspired with Putin and Putin installed him. And, all of that happened. And it turns out, we were saying for a long time, gosh, it seems like Clinton funding GPS Fusion, funding the Steele dossier, that didn't really add up. It seems like there was some collusion going on somewhere else. We're getting proven more and more right every single day about just what happened. I don't know, Jason. I'm going to throw a rain cloud into the conversation already. Epstein list accountability for Obama and Hillary Clinton, stock trading with people like Nancy Pelosi. That's in my column right now of a want and a need, but not going to happen necessarily. But we're going to break it all down, and we're going to show you why that needs to happen. And again, conservatives don't understand. They're like, it's a pass. So who's going to go after Obama? Folks, they went after Donald Trump with 4 felonies and 91 indictments. We can't sit over here and be like, what are we going to do? It's a former president. That's not the game that they play. We're not even in the same arena, the same stadium, the same universe. They have one move, and that is relentlessly marching towards complete control.
Yeah, and it's interesting because as we get a little further in the first hour, we're going to show a video with Mark Elias, who, those who've never heard of him, he is like the devil incarnate on the left. He is a lawyer, and he frames up really good the mentality on the left when talking about redistricting. But I think where we got to start this week is Tulsi Gabbard's been making the round. So last week they released documents showing that the leaked DNC emails, they knew Hillary Clinton funded the Russiagate hoax through Fusion GPS. They knew Russia's involvement was primarily to sow distrust, not to support either political candidate. Now, this week it was fascinating because they found a bunch of documents that didn't exist electronically that were in burn bags. And for those who've never worked in like a corporate environment, you get like shred bags or burn bags. So like all your confidential information that you have hard copies of, you throw in these bags, and the burn bags get taken to the incinerator. Shred bags, my wife works in the medical industry, they get shredded and they never see the light of day. And now it's coming out that there were a bunch of documents that ended up in burn bags. Somebody took the burn bag, threw them in an abandoned room in the CIA headquarters or in the FBI headquarters, and then they found them and they're going through them. And it's even worse than the documents that they found previously, where now it's actual emails from high-ranking Clinton campaign folks spelling out like, hey, even though there's nothing behind this, we're going to frame it up. We're going to use language like critical election infrastructure to just plant this seed in the American people's minds and let them sow doubt in the election integrity. And these are actual emails. The documents are available. Go check out Tulsi Gabbard's file. There's a lot of breakdowns on them. Am I missing any critical points on that, Todd?
I don't think so. Just when you thought you think it's bad, it can always get worse. And Tulsi Gabbard makes the case that it is getting worse. I just got to point out, John, thanks for watching over on the Facebook. Beautiful photo you got there. John says they're all corrupt and nothing will happen. Jason, if you polled me today, I would agree with John. John, thanks for your comment there. But let's see what Tulsi Gabbard says. And again, I got to make this point too, Jason. I have ranted about this on my own podcast, I think, for the last 4 months. I'm tired of these interviews. I just got to say this too. I'm tired of Tulsi going on the Benny show. I'm tired of Pam Bondi going on Fox News. I'm tired of Dan Bongino sitting down and talking to somebody here. Tired of them presenting all of this evidence, and then we never get anything from it. Like, if you have evidence and you've done the investigation, then charge these people. But don't go out there every week and promise me we found something new. Here's a bombshell allegation. Here's a new name we're going to expose here. And then nothing really materializes. I'm over it. Love the Trump administration. Donald Trump had to win. These interviews, though, these media rounds are just like, and to Kagan Girl's point, when are the arrests coming? If you have evidence, hard evidence, you're telling me you have evidence, then use that evidence in a court of law, handcuff these people, put them in orange jumpsuits, and walk them into a courtroom and then walk them into prison. No more interviews, no more television rounds, just arrest them. But let's see what she has to say.
Being used as a propaganda mechanism, we saw it flatly. I mean, I think it's the smoking gun, quite frankly, of the Obamagate narrative and the Russiagate narrative, that it was so baked in that the New York Times and Washington Post went and ran with it. Some would say that that's part of Operation Mockingbird. Some would say that that's part of what we learned in the Church Committee, that the intel agencies were using media outlets as their mouthpieces, and that those mouthpieces would parrot the official narrative. And I wanted to ask you, is this operation still going on? Are you aware of the intel agencies working directly with media outlets in order to push prescribed narratives that may or may not be true?
It's something that we've already had to deal with, Benny, within this administration, where there are people within the intelligence community who believe that their will is more important than the will of the American people, and will weaponize intelligence by leaking it to their friends within the mainstream media with the intent of undermining President Trump's agenda. It is not one that he hasn't already talked about in every rally and town hall that he did throughout the campaign. I don't even know how many there were, but President Trump is enacting the very thing he promised the American people he would do in this election. So people in the intelligence community, they may agree, they may disagree. That's not the point here. As intelligence professionals, as people who work in the national security space, in the intelligence community, they are required to fulfill their mandate to their oath to the Constitution of the United States and to the President of the United States, who was duly elected by the American people. Those who leak intelligence to their friends in the mainstream media with the intent of undermining the president who was elected by the American people, none of these intelligence professionals were. They are subverting the will of the people and therefore undermining the Constitution.
It's wild that you.
All right, we got a lot of comments here. I like to see Susie was saying amen to me, I think. Yeah, and Operation Mockingbird. Nick is over on the Facebook saying the entire media is nothing more than the propaganda machine for the liberal leftist Democrats and the woke mob. Absolutely. Bill's over there saying stop all the saber rattling and arrest if you have the evidence. And of course, we got Philip over there saying justice does move slowly. Rushing to arrest may cause you to lose the case. You must do your due diligence. I think all Americans agree we want people arrested, and different opinions on how to approach it, Jason.
Now, I want to just dive into what Tulsi just said. And for those who don't know, there were a couple FBI, CIA run operations that have been disclosed. They've been exposed through various things. I would used to have to grab my tinfoil hat and wear it when talking about these things. I no longer need to because these are documented facts. Operation Mockingbird was a initiative that was started in the 40s, 50s, 60s that was the CIA and FBI creating narratives, working with people in the media and sharing information because the American population was told or had reached a point where if I see it on TV from these newscasters, I trust it's true. Now, if you think about that in the context of last week's episode, if you have all the mainstream media narrative spinning, oh, Trump's a Russian puppet, Trump's a Russian puppet, Trump's a Russian puppet, there is a percentage of people who are not going to be able to do anything but succumb to that pressure. Their brain will be forever broken, and they will only understand that Trump's a Russian puppet. Even when presented with alternative evidence, that's not true. Here's the real facts, all this stuff. And what Tulsi Gabbard is confirming is that Operation Mockingbird is still up and running. Todd, do we go in the Wayback Machine to the Operation Mockingbird congressional hearings?
I think we need to. I want to make a point on this, though, Jason, just to dispel again where we're at. I don't think conservatives understand the movement here. I have used this phrase as well. Tulsi Gabbard kept saying, like, they undermine the Constitution. These intelligence assets have their own will, and they're ignoring the will of the American people. I don't like that line of thinking because Democrats can use the same logic. Well, Joe Biden's president, Barack Obama's president, the next Democrat someday will be president. That's the will of the American people. I don't want the will of the American people. I don't trust the average American. I don't trust the average voter to do the right thing. So if a Democrat does win office because they get a majority of votes in America, I don't give that legitimacy for the will of the American people. So we got to get away from that argument here. I am slowly moving away from mass democracy. I think it's a failed experiment, maybe a noble try, but certainly not worth it anymore. I don't want our side to have the will of the people argument because then that can be turned against us and say, well, look at Democrats in office. They wanted all of you thrown in prison. That's the will of the people. So that doesn't hold water for me. And again, it kind of ties into the idea of the thing we're up against right now. We're up against communists. Democrat communists are the threat right now, and I don't want their will to be the law of the land. So I just had to make that comment about Tulsi's argument here.
That's a good point. Hey, I got to say, too, Rumble starting to pick up. Valley checking in top of the morning. We got the Dee over there. Good morning. We got Francis tuning in. It's great to see everybody. Todd and I are joking before the show, like, we need to go hang out with our friends on a Friday. We love this. So, but, and understand, too, I think to articulate a little bit of what the point Todd's making, too, you have whatever percentage of Democrat voters believed the narrative the CIA pushed through and believed that Donald Trump was a Russian plant. Oh, yeah, Todd's got the document. I'll have him read it here in a sec. So people are going to the voting booth with this false narrative that was planted by the CIA. And we have the documents.
Allegedly.
We have the receipts. And those people are voting. You are walking into the grocery store. You're going down the aisle in the grocery store, and there is a good chance that somebody there is completely uninformed and taking action based on that. Todd, do you want to go through some of these?
Yeah, and that person in the grocery store nullifies your informed vote, Jason. Just understand that right now. So Senator Mike Lee, base Mike Lee, tweeted out just one of the documents here. Again, Jason and I have not verified this, but this was, it says, authorized for public release by Chairman Chuck Grassley from Iowa here. Mike Lee writes over on the Twitter, the New York Times and other Democrat mouthpieces who helped craft and push the Russiagate hoax. Jason, they got a Pulitzer Prize for pushing the Russian collusion narrative. I have yet to see them turn that back in. But he says they're counting on their readers to not look at the actual documents here. I am going to read, this is an email. It says the email attached the following English text in a document, which appears to be another email from Leonard Bernardo. Hi, HRC, Hillary Rodham Clinton approved Julia's idea about Trump and Russian hackers hampering U.S. elections. That should distract people from her own missing email. Remember the email server that got bleached? especially if the affair goes to the Olympic level. The point is making the Russian play a U.S. domestic issue. Say something like a critical infrastructure threat for the election to feel menaced, since both POTUS and VPOTUS have acknowledged the fact the intelligence community would speed up searching for evidence that is regrettably still unavailable. I don't want to use the word smoking gun like the Benny Show did, because I'm tired of these people showing up on TV and promising big things here. We have, if this is to be believed, if this is an actual document, Rodham Clinton herself suggesting and being part of the plan to create a fake narrative around Putin puppet.
Now, what's really funny, and we could do a whole show on this, we've covered it previously, but if you go back and watch any of the media coverage, any of the information from that was coming out in the 2015, 2016, even into his presidency, 2017 and 18, the news media dutifully covered this, reported on this, even though they knew it was from the Clinton campaign. The intelligence community leaked it to their assets. This is no longer, and it's funny, I love my conspiracy theory hat. I love putting it on and saying, oh, we're going to speculate on stuff. And I had to wear this hat like 2-3 weeks ago. And now the hat is unneeded to be worn because all the things we opined on, and it's not like we were some rocket scientists who connected the dots. It's just common sense. It was the most obvious conclusion to draw. We're now shown that this was not true. None of this was true. People were lied to. And what's fascinating is if you read the replies on some of these, there are U.S. citizens that vote that still don't believe it. And they're like, oh, no, that's not true. Trump's trying to distract from the Epstein files or something. And I'm like, this is the most insane thing. And like Todd said, these people get to vote.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through the comments here. If you're watching live, you can kind of see them here. It's split 50-50. These people are just like, nope, this isn't true. And they're just like, no, it's not true because I have TDS. They don't have a reason for why it's not true. But Jason, you and I were talking about the church committee. We have a smart audience, and our audience skews older, so they were likely alive when this happened in 1975. You had Democrat Frank Church back when there were some decent Democrats, and they sat down in a hearing with the CIA director at the time. His name was William Colby, and he gets straight up asked, does the CIA have assets in the media apparatus influencing public perception of events? Let's take a listen to that. We're going way back to 1975.
Do you have any people paid by the CIA who are working for television networks?
This, I think, gets into the kind of getting into the details, Mr. Chairman, that I'd like to get into in executive session.
At CBS.
Okay, so, sir, do you have any assets in the media? I'm not going to answer that here. Why don't we go to the skiff and we'll have a private conversation? Jason, I love that we have a Fifth Amendment. I love that you don't have to reveal all answers sometimes, but sometimes you just kind of incriminate yourself by not answering. And I think we have a great example of that right here.
And the Fifth Amendment shouldn't apply to the government.
No.
Should we listen to the rest?
We had been contacted by the CIA. As a matter of fact, by the time I became the head of the whole news and public affairs operation in 1954, the ships had been established, and I was told about them and asked if I'd carry on with them.
We have quite a lot of detailed information, and we will evaluate it, and we will include any evidence of wrongdoing or any evidence of impropriety in our final report and make recommendations.
Do you have any people being paid by the CIA who are...
All right, then I think the clip resurfaces. Then we got one more Frank Church, I think, elaborating on that.
I thought that it was a matter of real concern that planted stories intended to serve a national purpose abroad came home and were circulated here and believed here, because this would mean that the CIA could manipulate the news in the United States by channeling it through some foreign country. Now, we're looking at that very carefully.
So let's put this in perspective. In the Cold War, we were sending out propaganda, planting news stories in foreign nations with the goal that it would get sucked back into America, which was technically legal. If you don't hate your government enough, hate them more now. We have just seen planted news stories with faulty intelligence that didn't tell the truth, that now were just planted in our own media, that were sent all these leaks. I mean, remember Trump term 1, first 2 years, every other day, it was like a new leak from whatever. These were planted stories. The people planting the stories knew they were untrue. And they knew the public perception. And I keep bringing it back to the next time you're at the grocery store and you look around and think to yourself, like, I see 40 people here, 20 of them believe the planted story about Donald Trump and Russian collusion. And then 20 of those people theoretically are going to vote and make decisions about the country. It's just chilling.
And remember when Joe Biden launched his 2020 campaign on the Fine People hoax? Did anybody in the media that had spent years splicing the video to just cut off the last 5 seconds, did any of them fact check it and say, well, hold on a second, Joe Biden. If you play the whole clip, it turns out he says, I'm not talking about those groups of people. Completely ran cover for Democrats and Joe Biden. You could say it's the CIA. You could say they're all buddies and they all believe the same thing. However you slice and dice it up here, you have a corrupt media. That's why we do freedom from the press. We are just presenting the facts to you. Here's the evidence. Here is the CIA actively involved in your media. Here is the massive media cover up and the hoaxes that just come out every single day about Donald Trump. So
understand what you are up against as we start moving into some other topics. You are battling up against people that have fallen victim to a CIA, FBI, whatever intelligence community propaganda campaign, who have been programmed to believe something that now is verifiably not true.
And will anyone apologize? Will anyone be held accountable?
And is there any way to go back and fix it? It's funny because people are the chat's popping off, people send them to jail, that kind of thing. I will say this. When we talk about we want Trump to blow up the deep state, we want arrests. I have said the first arrest I want, like Robert says, they need to be held accountable. I want guys like Adam Schiff in jail for what they did. And here's what makes me sad. And we went into it a lot last week, but there are people in the world who really truly believe Donald Trump was installed by Vladimir Putin, making you as a Trump supporter a traitor to the country. Not, oh, your tariff policy is bad, or oh, your tax policy is bad. You were a literal traitor to the country, and it's only gotten worse. And there are not a big enough jail or a long enough jail sentence for the people that perpetrated this on the U.S. And what's really sad is the victims of it, the Democrat voters who bought all this, aren't even going to understand. It's crazy.
Yeah, Didi makes an interesting point here over on Rumble here. Folks, if you're watching on Facebook, we will cut the feed at a certain point and we'll stream exclusively on Rumble. You can check that out, rumble.com. Look for the American Tribune. Didi's over on Rumble saying victim. No, after the last 8 years of free media, they can't be considered victims. They chose not to do any opposition research. When we say that they're just brainwashed sheep, we kind of give them a pass. No. You can be a human being, an autonomous human being that has free thinking, critical thinking, God-given gifts of the ability to explore all options here. Like, you have sacrificed everything that makes you uniquely human and just gone along as some mindless sheep right here. You are a victim of your voting, but you are also, I can't give them a pass. I don't think Didi wants to give them a pass either.
Oh my gosh. And see, just as we're talking about victims of mind throwing, we got Frody. I don't know what he posted. Something about your pedo hero. I'm assuming that is some Donald Trump Epstein thing. Frody's brain is broken. Frody will never recover. He is completely, we can show it was like we were doing it with the Joe Biden stuff, and we were showing the documents they were releasing that showed them doing illicit business deals. Here's the receipt. And the Democrat response was, well, until you see the direct deposit slip that says bribe, it doesn't count. These people, and I don't know how we bring it back, Todd. I really don't.
We could tell Frody right here. They lied to you about Russian collusion. They lied to you about fine people. They lied to you about every story about Donald Trump in his first term. They tried to indict him. They tried to make him go to prison for the rest of his life on false charges. I don't think Frody ever said for a second, gosh, I wish they would release the Epstein list, until a week ago when Democrats thought they might politicize that and weaponize that opportunity against their political opponents. He doesn't care about that. Where were you 2 weeks ago, buddy, railing to release the Epstein list like we have because we actually care about the victims of child abuse? This guy's a fraud.
Yeah, I was going to say, I bet if we go check Frody's social media account. Now, Todd and I, we've been doing this podcast for like 2.5 years, however long it is. How many episodes have we done on Epstein?
Quite a few. We have a Substack, the American Tribune.news, where we explore the specific relationship between Trump and Epstein himself. But we have been talking about this for 2 years. Release the list. And Jason, should we really make his head explode? Release all of it. And if Trump's name is on it, we will deal with that. Now, I don't think it is, because if they had it, they weren't going to wait until after he ran for the third time as president and won. But if he's on it, then he's on it. Like, these people simply cannot fathom the fact that, like, yes, we voted for him and we can change our opinion on him if facts change.
Right. And I mean, Todd mentioned it. We've done like 9 5,000 word articles on the Epstein information. We want it released. I think we are reaching the point where we're going to not see it. And it's funny because Frody, there are people that are documented that were deep in Epstein Island, guys from Bill Gates to Prince Andrew. Frody don't care about none of them. Frody has been broken mentally. He cares about it in so long as it gets Donald Trump, because Donald Trump was a Putin installed plant. And then as soon as it's shown Donald Trump wasn't one of his clients, Frody will then say, oh, they doctored the stuff, or Frody will just move on to the next thing. Now, for me, if it shows Donald Trump was involved, lock him up. Don't care. I don't believe he is. But let's hear Frody. Frody, if you're so worried about it, show me the list of other people on the Epstein list, and let's see you call them out. Let's see when Bill Clinton was campaigning for Kamala Harris. Bill Clinton, who went 27 times to the island. Let me see one post, one social media post you made that said, hey, guys, Bill Clinton was probably part of this Epstein stuff. Maybe we shouldn't have him out there. Democrats only care about power. They don't worry about any of it, which actually leads us into our next video clip. So, and it's funny, Francis, I feel like I'm in some Twilight Zone episode with all this. You know, it's funny. One of my buddies, Gary, he's my prototype normie Democrat. And I was talking to him, and it's funny when you zoom out and look at this over, instead of like a week or a month, but you look at it over like 5 years, 10 years, you see this, and it's like, this is terrifying. Tulsi Gabbard just said, yeah, the CIA is planting stories to manipulate you. And then you see it. You see losers like Frody who they will go to their deathbed believing this nonsense. It just breaks my heart.
Yeah, he thinks he's Mr. Moral and Principled. Like you said, Epstein visited the Clinton White House in 93 to 95. I forget the number. We said it last week, I think 17 times. Trump said that he visited the island 28 times. This is a guy that probably voted for Hillary, supported Clinton campaigning for Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. Like, absolute frauds. These people are brainwashed frauds. And Didi points out, too, again, sorry, the facts are not going to work on people like Frody, but the Senate Republicans tried to put through a transparency motion, and every Dem voted against it. They want to rant. Yes, they want to politicize it, weaponize it against Trump because it is good for a narrative. They do not care about the victims. They don't even care about the list. They just know that people like Frody will put the Trump Epstein name together, and then the TDS will do the rest.
Right. Yeah, it's funny. It reminds me very much when I learned to sell stuff early in life. And it's like you plant things, you plant these little like bugs in people's head when you're trying to sell something, and then it just like they can't help but react to it. It's like Pavlov's dog. And So with that as a backdrop to understand what we're up against. So we're going to share, we got a Brian Tyler Cohen, I think it's a Midas Touch clip where he has Mark Elias on. And here's what I want you to listen to. So understand conservatives, why we've lost. So for years, Democrats or the media, the deep state, whatever you want to think of them as, they have been fighting tooth and nail to the death for whatever insane ideology they want to push. Like, this is a thing. And conservatives, they get power and they want to take the moral high road, and we're going to send a sharply worded memo. Meanwhile, we don't understand that we are in the fight of our life, and this take the high road, not do anything is no longer the rules. They prove with Donald Trump that they have no problem locking him up, throwing him in jail, throwing his lawyers in jail. The left won't stop. So this clip is talking about redistricting. We could do a whole episode on it. Texas is going to redistrict. I think it's a more fascinating topic. What redistricting is, for those who don't know, you look at your state, you say, where do you draw the boundaries for your House of Representative seats? There's a lot of discussions one could have about what the right way or wrong way to draw them are. We could show some maps of some of these Democrat states that, like, they make these weird shaped districts just so they can get a Democrat seat. So it's a huge topic. It's a great topic. It's something that we could all get into. And like I say, we could get dug into this. Like, is this end wokeness that talks about? I'll let you go on redistricting a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't want to steal your thunder, Jason.
No,
I just pop this graphic up here. So end wokeness over next said Democrats. So they're screaming about redistricting. That's the fight right now. Texas is going to make a few more GOP seats, which, like, yes, it should. Every political party should try to maximize how much power they get. This is not complicated. Oh, and by the way, Democrats do it all the time. So they posted here, California, 40% of the statewide vote goes to Donald Trump. They only get 17 congressional seats because of gerrymandering. Massachusetts, 35% of the statewide vote went to Donald Trump. They have a zero representation in the state of Massachusetts when it comes to congressional seats. Connecticut's even worse. 38% of the vote went to Donald Trump. They have 0% of the seats. New York, you can see all the numbers here. All of the blue states, you can see the red circle. That's the Republican vote, the Republican presence in the state. And you can see that Democrats have ensured that hardly any Republican is sent to Washington, D.C. So the next time some Democrats out there screaming about Texas, I saved this one. Here, I'm going to heart it right now. I had reposted it before. Yeah, Rhode Island, 38% of the vote went to Trump, 0 seats. Hawaii, 30 has 0 seats. New Mexico, 44 has 0 seats. The next time they scream about Texas and gerrymandering, just show them these numbers here. Democrats absolutely do not care. And Republicans have to start playing the same game under the same rules. You are in power. You maximize and optimize your power, and you never say sorry. You never cede an inch. You don't compromise. You say, I'm doing this just like you.
Absolutely. Hey, I got to give a shout out too. We got Bubba in. Good day, Bubba.
Bubba.
And, you know, Worlds Colliding. I don't even know if he knows he works with us, but Bubba reached out to Will Tanner to be on a Tuesday night space. Will's like, hey, do you know this group? I'm like, that's Bubba's group. Get on that thing. So, yeah, I don't know if Will's reached back out, but Will's looking forward to the space. Someday you got to get Todd on there too. Get Todd ranting.
All right. Yeah. Drop your handle, Bubba. I'll give you a follow over on the old Twitter there, and we'll hop in a space together.
Giddy up. But now let's look at how Democrats approach redistricting. And I want you to pay special attention to the language and to their mission, and contrast that in your brain to Republicans or conservatives saying, oh, we need to take the high road, blah, blah, blah.
Republicans don't care about democracy. You know, Republicans support Donald Trump because he's an authoritarian. And they will abuse.
Now I just got to stop there.
I was going to stop it too.
You go ahead.
No, you go for it, Jason. I was thinking the same thing. Go for it.
You start with Republicans don't care about democracy. Like, this is their framework. They think they are in a mortal, and I don't know if these guys believe this. They might just be mouthpieces who are reading a script, but they flat out say they don't believe in democracy. Think of that language. You are it now. You're framed up. You're in a battle of life and death because these people want to destroy you. Now, never mind, we're not a democracy, we're a constitutional republic, never mind. But think of that language of how they are framing this up to their audience.
Brought to you by the person, by the way, Jason, that installed Kamala Harris without any primary or any Democrat voter nominating her. I don't know. Well, what do I know about democracy and all that?
Every norm. They will violate every tradition. They will seek to weaponize every law, every practice, everything that they can in order.
I probably don't have to say this, Jason, but the idea that our side weaponizes the government against its opponents, I don't even think I have to elaborate on that. Do we all remember what happened to Donald Trump between 2020 and 2024? I can't.
In order to gain power for the sake of having power. And they are not going to be deterred from doing that if they, turn a grotesque map into an obscene map in Texas, and our response is, okay, well, we found, 4 or 5 seats of our own. They will take that as a win, right? Because they've done what they want. And then, as you say, they will move on to Missouri. They'll move on to Florida. They'll move on to Ohio. They will move on to Utah. They will move on to, wherever will be their next place. And they will not be deterred. What we need to do is we need to recognize that if we want to stop the slide of democracy, we as Democrats, we as people in the pro-democracy movement need to tell them that if they take 5 seats, we're going to put 30 seats on the table. Right? Because they need to understand that there will not just be parity if things go against them, but actually if they guess wrong and this winds up escalating, they could wind up on the severe losing side. So when people say to me, don't bring a knife to a gunfight, I don't even want to bring a gun to a gunfight. I want to bring something more than a gun to the gunfight, right? I want to bring missiles to the gunfight. I want to bring hand grenades to the gunfight because I want the other side to understand that not only are we going to fight as hard as them, but we are going to fight smarter than them.
Now, we've talked about Mark Elias on the podcast. He is, give credit where it's due. Like, I'll give credit to Nancy Pelosi being one of the best, most effective speakers of the House, not best. She was very good at her job. Mark Elias, very good at his job. What the Democrats have used to mobilize the lawfare against Republicans, this is a guy who's in charge of it. And this has been, like, he's good. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, I like what he does. Or we need to take a playbook. So think about this clip. You're a threat to democracy. We need to do anything we can to win. There is no, let's get back to the Constitution and follow the norms. There is no, we're going to fight fire with fire. It is, we're going to fight fire with a nuclear war, which, by the way, if any conservative would have said any of that, it would have run nonstop on the media about how they're threatening violence. And this clown can say it with no doubt. And it's funny, we can get away playing it on Facebook and YouTube because a Democrat said it. Well, if it was a conservative, we could not have played that clip. It is insane, but that's what you're dealing with. So think about this Democrat voter. And I know, and I'll get grief, rightfully so, from some of the audience says, don't think of him as a victim. They consume the media narrative. They thought they could turn on CNN and trust it. And then they hear this guy come out authoritatively say, we're going to do whatever. And you don't think when Democrats get power, they're going to squash dissent by locking us all up. Like, he's flat out saying it. This is not like a conspiracy. I don't need my tinfoil hat, Todd.
It's almost as if only one side is right. Either our headline of the show is correct, that conservatives don't understand what they're up against, and Mark Elias makes the opposite point, saying Democrats don't understand the battle we're in right now because these conservatives and these Republicans in Washington, D.C. are so good at fighting the fight and installing their leaders and pushing out their agenda. And it's just like, what world do you live in where you have all of corporate media, you have the entire DC establishment, and you got people like Jason and I looking around like, hey guys, we finally won a political election here with the American First Movement. Can we try to do just a little bit in return? And he's over there saying, like, Democrats don't understand the moment they're in right now. This is completely insane. But again, as our comments were popping as we played this clip here, where did I want to get to? I think one of the comments got, we got Ginger over on Facebook. I think I wanted to highlight Ginger. Thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting, Ginger. They say things they're doing. It is brain dead. Yes, this is classic projection 101. And Jason pointed out, like, I don't know if he believes this or he is just lying. I think it's a combination of both, that they know they're lying and they also don't care because they are consumed at the end of the day simply by power. They will say whatever they have to say in the moment that sounds good, that resonates, that advances their mission that day, and he'll say something completely different the next time. When they get in power, if Democrats ever win again, he'll be like, yes, we need to move forward and crush all these people that, like we always do. Never mind the fact that I said we never do it. This is frightening, though. If they win, they're basically saying Trump's going to jail, you and I are all going to prison.
Right. And I mean, they're saying this. This isn't conspiracy theory. And they've got the mainstream media working with them. And here'll be another one of those little litmus tests when you go out in the real world. Like, if you engage with a Democrat friend and you ask them about something, all of a sudden Jeffrey Epstein, who's been locked up since 2019, who's implicated 25 people, the only thing they'll talk about, like the commenter earlier, oh, Trump on the Epstein list. And it's fascinating. This has been out for so long. We can all, like we say, if Trump's on it, like, we'll go to jail, Trump. I don't think he is. I want everybody on the list to go to jail. But the people are mentally broken, and guys like this are weaponizing them and are really, like, they're doing horrible things to the country. And like Todd said earlier, we need to get people arrested. We need to understand the battle we're in, what we're up against, who these people are.
Yeah, and I don't know if we made this point here. Didi did drop a comment. So he's connected to the DNC group that created the Russia hoax. So let's hope he lands in jail. Mark Elias was Clinton's lead lawyer in the 2016 campaign. This is a very well-connected individual. He is perfect for this because he's very good at articulating lies and propaganda, and he says it so forcefully. You have this average American voter like, well, he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, so I'll believe him that Republicans are really good at using the system to get what they want. As, again, our audience is over here saying, like, gosh, it seems like the only resistance we put up is like, can you please not wave a pride flag? Can you please not throw our president in jail? When we push back, they say that we're on the offense. They missed the point entirely. Dems are only on offense. Republicans have only ever played defense. It does good to raise money in campaigns. We have never gone on the offense. It's time Republicans do go on offense. That's the point of the show, because only one ideology, one political party will ultimately win. And I want my side to win. I want them to crush the opposition. But yeah, imagine if a Trump surrogate, Jason, had said, I'm going to bring missiles to a gunfight. That person would have been 24/7 on news coverage. Trump suggesting political violence.
And I'll be honest, I think Trump has done the most in my lifetime of anybody on the Republican side to roll this stuff back. Deporting illegals, big, beautiful bill, all the things. He even did away with disparate impact, which is kind of a nuanced thing, but it ties into Joe Blackman's comment on the Facebook. Well, I can tell you, the wrong way is letting a radical judge draw him up in Alabama when they took my representation in the House, just me and many thousands of conservatives. The judge had to drop a district that included more than 50% blacks in order to accomplish having 2 of Alabama's 7 representatives be liberal radical blacks. Continues on with the conversation. But Donald Trump, by doing away with affirmative action, disparate impact, that kind of thing, really changes a lot of the calculus on that. And there were, I mean, as a legal thing, we should have Will on, Mr. Lawyer. But like, if you did like an employment test and one racial group scored worse than the other, it was illegal. Kind of ironic. And the same thing kind of rolled out into other parts. Donald Trump reversed that, which is huge. But like I say, today's episode is for all of us on the conservative side to understand what we're fighting against.
Yeah, I got to add too, I want to go back to Joe's very lengthy, insightful comment here. This all ties back, I don't want to get into the Civil Rights Act of 1965, Jason. I think the Overton window is shifting on the Civil Rights Act, though, that is directly related to making sure you have representation of other populations in the United States. There are a lot of big problems with that bill. You could argue it was well-intentioned at the time. I think the designers ultimately knew how they would weaponize that against good white Americans. Maybe I'll do that on my podcast. We need to do away with the Civil Rights Act. We are well beyond the time when any specific population needs special treatment from the government.
Yeah, and it's funny, the Civil Rights Act at the time, like, was designed to be a temporary course correction to fix some populations that had some roadblocks. Well, now it's 50, 60 years later, and those same populations are screaming that those weren't enough. We could do a whole episode. Tune into Todd Show, American Tribune Live, Tuesday, Thursday. Todd will go into it. And we got to be careful.
We've never had a calm show. It is caffeinated. It is fiery. It is super spicy lately. Check out the channel at the American Tribune Live with Todd Peterson. We talk about things that need to be talked about, but you cannot talk about on Facebook. So you will never find me on Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, you said caffeinated.
Oh, Jason, I don't know if that was a segue to one of our sponsors of the show, folks, but if you want some delicious coffee owned and operated by a disabled veteran right here in Minnesota, where Jason and I broadcast from, go to splitrockcoffee.com. That is splitrockcoffee.com. Use promo code TODD10. Subscribe and save today. You can get some delicious coffee delivered to your door every month whenever you set up your delivery. Don't go to the grocery store anymore. Don't wonder, are you going to support some woke company or some pretend conservative company? Split Rock Coffee is the deal, real deal. splitrockcoffee.com. And normally we have Paul Reese in the chat. Paul's been a little MIA today, though.
I think Friday he's probably taking care of his dad. So he's doing a lot of traveling for work.
Jason, I don't know where Michael's coming from here. But, Michael, can you elaborate on this? Are you, I'm guessing he's a lib using language like that. What don't you do that we accused you of doing, Michael? You do everything we've just accused you of doing. You're wrong, but please elaborate. Tell us how Democrats have never had power or weaponized the government. Yeah, please tell me how that's the case.
Yeah, I can't tell from the context of that if he's yelling at us or yelling at Mark Elias.
Frody. Yeah, maybe Mark Elias or Frody are getting some heat from Michael Phillips. Hard to decipher that one.
Now we got to go into. Can we go into Kat while we're still on the Facebook and the YouTube?
Kat.
Kat, that's that gal that wrote Kana.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was looking at the videos. I was like, I don't have a cat video. Although,
yeah. So let me just frame this up. So one of my hopes, you guys will hear, I'll say, like, share a podcast, share it with somebody you don't politically agree with. We need to wake up normal Democrats. I have a few in my family circle that, are what you consider normal Democrat. They aren't communists, and they're starting to wake up. Todd is more black-pilled that we can't wake these people up. But it was funny. Ro Khanna is one person on the Democrat side that every now and then he agrees with things. He comes up with things that I can agree with, like let's cut out corporate money from things, kind of like Dean Phillips. But largely, he's a crazy Democrat. He is just a glimmer of hope. I saw him endorse this blonde-haired woman, Kat something or other. Todd will bring up her name. For the vacant U.S. House of Representative seats in Illinois. And I thought maybe Roe have found a normie Democrat that's just going to be a standard Democrat, not a communist. It was a young gal. She's only 26 years old. She's a social media influencer, I think is what they call her on the left. She has a $1 million war chest. And this is one of those districts in Illinois that if she wins the primary, she is going to be the nominee. So I don't know what Todd's pulling up.
I had to pull this out. I had to dispel the notion that Ro Khanna was anything but just awful here. Here he is way over on the left of just being an awful Democrat. And Jason, you referenced this. I have to defend my position here. I think if you have a D behind your name in 2025, you're a communist. I don't care what you say in public. If you're a Democrat and you identify with a party that wanted wide open borders, endless foreign wars, going after the children, releasing violent criminals, trying to imprison political opponents, the list goes on, I think you're a scumbag. And I don't care if you sound nice or you tone your message differently. I have a hard black and white lens when I look at this. If you identify with Democrats today, you are... I have nothing nice to say about you. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. But yeah, let's get to your gal here.
Yeah, let's pull up Kat just so people can do it. So this is Kat. I won't try to pronounce her last name. Social media influencer on the left. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. She's got her standard campaign thing. Todd, you'll be shocked to know her family immigrated to the United States from
Ukraine?
No.
Oh.
Palestine.
Palestine. But Jason, she doesn't look Palestinian.
Weird, huh?
I wonder if her real name is Kat.
Right. Yeah, her real name's Kat. Now let's go into Kat's breakdown of the issues. And I think you got to close that window, and then we got to go into her her stuff. We got the crack staff. Can't you X out
our
of her
country
video?
piece by piece? And so many Democrats seem content to just
video here. All right, so her campaign, isn't this what all Democrats have though? Like, her very first thing was like, in the fight against Donald Trump, they have nothing. They have nothing that Americans want to buy. Half this country will still vote Democrat again because they're brainwashed by the CIA Mockingbird operation, allegedly Facebook. I'm going to run on anti-Donald Trump. That's all I can do as a Democrat. But yeah, let's go to the site.
Yeah, and then go into her in the issues tab, I think it is, around the top. Yeah. So her campaign top issues. First, anti-authoritarianism. So we could go read it. We don't need to. Donald Trump's a dictator. We need to do all that. Okay, great. You can scroll down to the next one. This just blows me away.
Here,
and we are showing
Jason,
this.
Can I hop on this really fast? I'm going to let you run through the website. I got to make this comment, though. Fally says, wow, another ungrateful transplant. This is why the Todd Peterson rule of politics is no immigrants and no children of immigrants ever get to vote or hold elected office. I have been proven right for the 1,000th time by this gal right here. Jason, I had no idea she was an immigrant, but she again proves my point. All right, I'll let you continue.
So pull up basic existence. We're going to click into a few things and go up to the, go over to the thing. So the United States is the richest country in the world, yet most Americans can't even afford an emergency. Rah, rah, rah. While prices have increased 50% in the last 15 years, if you scroll down, she is recommending a $25 minimum wage.
Who's going to pay for that?
Is a $25 minimum wage even something remotely makes sense? But she believes that. The other thing, the sentence above that, we can fund critical government programs and subsidize through government grants by implementing a modest 2% wealth tax on Americans worth $100 million or more. Todd, what are your opinions on wealth taxes? Or do you want to explain what a wealth tax is?
Oh, I have some opinions here. So the big distinction on your net worth, you might be worth a lot of money on paper, but it doesn't mean you have liquidity. You might be tied up in real estate. Your 401k might have gone to the moon under Donald Trump's administration. Doesn't mean you have cash lying around to pay 2% of your net worth. Here, let me just write a check for $2 million. I'm worth $100 million. So it's asinine here. They're not taking into account what you earn, what you have liquid, what you have available to spend. They just want to see your assets. They want to seize assets. That's all communism is. But Jason, I actually agree. I can't believe I'm saying this. I actually agree that if you attain a certain amount of wealth in the United States, that it is obscene. Now, I'm all for capitalism. I'm all for Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk becoming fabulously wealthy. They created products. They created things that people want, that the market needs, that there was a space for that. But at some point, I do agree you don't need $5 trillion if you're already at $4 trillion or $6 trillion. I am actually fine with these obscenely wealthy people paying more somehow. Now, how you do that is complicated because they're going to have the best tax attorneys, the best team of people to hide the money, shelter the money, place it in a trust. I don't know if you can ever get your hands on it. And the last people I want on earth grabbing that money is a government bureaucrat. But I do actually agree with the idea that at some point, you could maybe have them pay for something. If they set up a charity, donate their money, these wealthy people should feel obligated. There was a time with noblesse oblige back in the day where the wealthy bureaucrats of the age would give back to the community, would build a thriving community for the people that lived on the land with them. We are missing that, so I think that needs to come back in some fashion. So while I don't trust the government to ever handle money competently or not corruptly, I agree with the sentiment. I'm
going to dive into 3 points. So, One, what Todd talked about, wealth tax means the government will tax you on assets you own. $100,000 house they could tax you on. Second point, the way they sell it, and they do this bullshit all the time, they're doing it right now in real time with Social Security. They sold Social Security by saying we're only going to tax it on the wealthy, on the rich, or they sold it where it was just going to affect one group. Now the government is having shortfalls in Social Security, and they are moving down who they're taxing. So the tax is hitting more and more people. The reason I vehemently oppose any of these taxes where we go after the super rich is because when it's not enough money, they're going to say, well, 100 million, who needs 50 million? Who needs 25 million? And then they increase the spending, and it keeps coming down, and it keeps coming down. So that's why I disagree with that. Now, to expand on what Todd's saying, there was a time in America where people who had gobs of wealth would reinvest in their communities in different things. I actually had a tweet that did pretty well. It was Henry Winkler. Somebody had posted like, oh, if you won $500 million, what would you do? And he's like, I'd make sure all kids have school lunches. I Googled his net worth. He was worth like 40 million. I'm like, well, you have 40 million already. Like, couldn't you do some of that now? But my point is, I do like when I say they want to tax wealth, which are just assets, like that's a hard no, because that is just starting the descent into chaos.
Well, and notice the language shift too. So Elizabeth Warren was floating the idea on her campaign and every day because she's a clown. Unrealized gains. What they're basically euphemizing? Can I make a verb of that? If the euphemism for unrealized gains is going after your net worth, because I think everyone understands a little bit better unrealized gains. Like, yeah, on paper, my stocks went up 100%. I'm not any richer for it right now because I haven't sold anything. So it's the same idea here. And Jason, like you, I absolutely hate it. I hate any government plan because it always starts somewhere and it expands. I hate the idea of government taking control of someone's private equity and private assets. I did just want to say, though, I understand the sentiment, and I think America is going to have to resolve this here. I don't like that we are now a country that is depleting the middle class, and you have obscenely wealthy people and the rest of the people in poverty. Government is absolutely not the solution to that problem here. Government has created that problem by gutting the middle class intentionally, by the way. But that sentiment's not going to go away, and it does need to be addressed thoughtfully. That was all I'm saying here. But I am with you. I want no government program involved in this.
All right, now let's go back over to our topics. I can't see the sidebar there.
Oh,
climate change. That says what it thinks you say. Democrat reform is a fascinating one. We could probably click on that one quick.
Let's see what she wants to. No, I don't want to. Can't donate to you.
Right. So if you look, we want Congress is broken. Now here's one that I agree with, where when she's talking about Democrat reforms, multi-member districts, ranked choice voting, I'm not a fan of.
It's it's a horrible idea.
Right. But scroll down. So the big orange one I agree with. Serve no more than 5 terms in the House of Representatives. That's cool. But now read the next one. Federal judiciary is deeply broken. Supreme Court justice parting with billionaires. She talks about requiring a 2/3 Senate majority to confirm justices, which, by the way, used to be a thing until Democrats nuked it. And then, is that the part where it says she wants 18-year term limit? I don't know if I like that. But she talks about wanting to expand the Supreme Court to 15 justices. 15 justices. Now, if you can imagine 15 justices, like, that's insane. And if Donald Trump did that today, Todd, would Democrats be okay with that?
That's a fun thought experiment, Jason. You know what? Right now, I am fine with Donald Trump expanding the Supreme Court. How about that? Donald Trump, give me more Clarence Thomases, and let's go up to 15. This sounds like a great idea. Do you think Kat, however you say her last name, would be like, well, I pledged to expand the Supreme Court, so thanks, Donald Trump, because you gave me 15, and that's what I wanted? Or would she wait until a Democrat was in power, and then she would be suddenly for it?
And connect the dots between her and what Mark Elias said. I want to change the court when we're in power. All right, let's go on to the next one. I think it's on the sidebar too. So basically, this education.
I am curious as an educator, Jason, how she wants to change education. Probably throw more of your stolen tax dollars to corrupt unions and administrative costs. The rights, well, we have a crusade against learning. Apparently, we are intentionally cruel because we want to prevent people from learning, Jason. There's not enough time to go on this.
Public dollars for public schools, universal pre-K. Teachers, minimum salary, $60,000 for teachers. Affordable and accessible education. And it says it, I think, in there. They're going to cancel all student debt.
Oh,
and
college and trade school free
for all.
I cannot think of two worse ideas when it comes to education. I predicted this here. Everything on this education tab is backwards and incorrect. And I'm just going to say evil too, because in order to make it free, Jason, they have to steal someone else's money that maybe didn't want to go to college, paid off their debt already, didn't take out a stupid loan to get a gender studies degree. Everything about this is upside down and wrong. I have a really simple solution to make education more affordable and better at the same time. And that is to delete this section right here and say government is no longer involved in any of it. There, I just solved the problem.
Right. Let's go on to the next tab. Education, gun violence.
Do you think she wants to take away the Second Amendment? I'm curious. Oh, you know, this plays well in the groups apparently still. We just need a federal assault weapons ban. Jason, what's an assault weapon?
I don't know. They're banning knives in okay, scroll down. I gotta find the one.
Well, we got health.
Oh, healthcare. This is my favorite. So we're giving $25 an hour minimum wage. We're forgiving all student loans. We're giving everybody pre-K through college paid for for free. I'm sure that includes room and board. How much free stuff has we given away? Okay, zoom in on this a little bit. This absolutely blew my mind away. Every American deserves health care, whether they have a job. That's why we need a single payer healthcare system with an opt-out if you're a private insurance super fan. This means your tax dollars will be used for your health care. Universal health care, which means there's no deductibles. See it under the universal health care? No deductibles. There is no not covered under your plan. There is no out of network. There is no insurance not wanting to pay for it. It is all inclusive, the second orange tab, free dental, free eye care, including contact lenses. It is drug price negotiation. We're going to build more hospitals in the rural area and innovation. And I can't remember where it says in there, but it applies to everybody in the country, legally or illegally. Are you insane?
The Democrats have all bad ideas. Universal health care has to be the dumbest one. Number one, a business exists. A person becomes a doctor to make money. That is it. That's the end of the story here. Once government dictates how much you can get paid, how much money you're going to make for this, once they lower your training to be inclusive and diverse, does anyone think this? Apparently, she thinks it's going to work just fine. Have we not seen how Obamacare raised the price of everything when government got more involved? Why would I go be a doctor if I can't work in the private sector and charge patients how much it's worth my time to treat them?
Well, and this is even worse because I think if we look at the education system, the college system critically, once we made college available for everybody and everybody just got loans, all of a sudden it became hugely profitable in the university business because people could get all these loans and the government forgives it. You do that to healthcare. You give them an unlimited checkbook, whatever the doctor thinks you need done. You know, we're going to cover your eyeglasses, cover your dental, and you as a citizen have no responsibility to manage any of this. How on earth are we going to pay for it? And now we got to go back one more tab, and then we can wrap up the Facebook hour here.
I got one little story for the healthcare thing. So wife is a doctor, went to school with some folks that did a residency on a reservation, Jason. All of our reservations in America offer free healthcare services. That includes eye care already. This is practice on a small scale on Indian reservations in the United States. Do you know who never took care of themselves or showed up to appointments that they made? It was the residents on the reservation because they had no buy-in to the process. You had unhealthy people with serious issues. They didn't bother showing up because there was no penalty for not showing up. They knew they could get seen whenever they wanted to eventually here. I know how this will play out in America. People will not be healthier. It'll cost way more money. I will get worse healthcare coverage for it. This is such a bad idea. I don't even know how to explain this anymore. It is such a bad.
Uh-oh. I think we just lost Todd. Uh-oh. I hope the feds didn't.
Uh-oh.
Oh, there's Todd.
I hit the wrong tab. I went back on our streaming service instead of the.
Oh, nice. I was worried there. I'm like, the feds got him. We got to show one more tab on our website, though, Todd.
All right. Sorry. Everything got dropped here. Here we go.
All right. Immigration. All right. And we just need to, you might need to read it.
You want me to read this whole thing?
I want you to read this whole thing to understand the insanity. This is an endorsed candidate who is probably going to win her primary.
On immigration, Kat says, the Palestinian-born Kat, the United States has always been a country of immigrants. False, but I'll keep reading. I'm the daughter of one. I vehemently oppose Donald Trump's insistence on vilifying immigrants. I'm not sure how he's done that. And criminalizing their very existence. Immigration is not just about the economy. It's about basic human rights and dignity, whatever that means. All people deserve to be able to come to a country where they are free from persecution and strife, and we must create a country that reflects that ideal. No, we don't have to. This is my country. I want to be as clear as humanly possible. No mass deportations, no internment camps for immigrants. That's not happening. And no backtracking on the best part of the American experiment. False. I support an immediate pathway to citizenship for dreamers and other undocumented immigrants while also making legal immigration more accessible and convenient. These are all horrible ideas. Visa wait times and border quotas are in direct contrast with the American dream. No, they're not. And which we are promised and which were promised to the rest of the world. No, we did not promise America would exist for the rest of the world to come here. We often hear immigration phrased as a migrant crisis, fact check true, when in fact most people coming to the United States from abroad are not simply itinerant migrants, but in fact refugees, fleeing poverty, persecution, and political turmoil in their home countries, and who want to leech off the system, is what she forgot to say. As your congresswoman, I will reintroduce legislation to remove all caps on refugee resettlement in the United States and welcome in as many refugees as possible, as well as increase funding to support the communities they live in. I take it back, Jason. The healthcare thing wasn't the most frightening. This right here is the most frightening thing on her platform.
She literally, this is somebody who you are going to see next or in 2027 in the House of Representatives. Her opinion is anybody anywhere in the world who's poor can come here and let's put them on welfare.
And we, the American taxpayer, will fund all of it.
On top of paying for college, giving you free health care with no responsibility. I was reading this and I'm like, this is what we're up against. It was funny. That was kind of my impetus when I said we need to talk about this. Like, I wanted to cover her platform. This is not some fringe candidate. This is not some left-wing lunatic. Every single one of these ideas, it would have been roundly just dismissed as insane, and we would not allow people, anybody that votes for this, as far as I'm concerned, I don't even know what to say about them. I probably can't say them on some of these platforms.
Probably can't say it. Yeah, I know we've been going long on Facebook. It was a healthy to safe discussion for us today. So glad to keep the Facebook audience around a little bit longer here. Jason, this is wild here. And when we titled the show, to your point, conservatives don't understand what they're up against. This is what we are up against. We're going after Kat, an individual right now with this policy platform. But make no mistake, this is who Democrats are in 2025. You can have one of two pathways down moving forward. Do you go down this path where she spelled it all out? We are a dumping ground for the rest of the world's poor, illiterate population, and it's going to be funded entirely by you, the smaller, shrinking tax base in the United States. Or do you want the America First vision that says absolutely not to all of this insanity? That is what we are up against. Kat's platform in 2025, as radical as it sounds, will be normal by the presidential election of 2028. There are two options. I don't want people complaining about how we have only two political parties. We should do lots of parties and lots of ranked choice voting. False. There are two visions right now competing, the America First vision or this communist vision. That is it.
Todd, as we go through, and it even gets worse, I would encourage you guys, if you wanted to see severe lunacy, Oh my God, Kev finally shows up. Better late than never. And of course, this is live.
We're
Kev.
always live.
Always
Kev.
live. Kev, we found this lunatic House of Representative member, Kat from Palestine, who's going to get elected in Illinois. And we were going through her platform just to show people how utterly insane it is. And there's like 6 more tabs. Social Security, going to expand it. Even though 1/5 of Americans are drawing money from it, we're going to expand and give it to more people. Kids and family, free daycare for everybody. LGBTQ. Yeah, like all your surgeries are paid for. Everything's free. It's like the Oprah Winfrey show. But Todd, we should probably put a pin on the Facebook, YouTube, because some of the stuff I want to say, like,
I'm curious what she says on reproductive rights.
Abortions with no limits.
I refuse to endorse any term restrictions. How did I know that would be her position?
Right. Can you believe that? I mean, every one of and Democrats used to say, like, oh yeah, no, we're not in favor of 3rd-term abortions. Now they've reached the point they're putting it in their political platform.
They think they're brave and bold to say we want as much child sacrifice as humanly possible.
Yeah, I can't even. Well, let's button up Facebook, YouTube. Let's go do a little Rumble only. I want to have some fun over there.
I do too. Folks, if you want to hear a little about Sydney Sweeney, I have to be done talking about this gal. I'm livid right now because in my day-to-day life, Jason, I got a Democrat voter over here right now, a public school teacher hanging out with my wife, their cousins, and I'm just like, she would vote for this. She would vote for this because she is that brainwashed.
All right. Well, folks, thank you, Facebook, YouTube, hanging out with us. And we're going to be over on the Rumble. So if you aren't on Rumble, it's a free speech platform. Think of it like YouTube. Go to rumble.com or there's a Rumble app. Search for The American Tribune. It's the name of our channels. We do the Freedom from the Press podcast there every Friday. And yeah, we're going to take a minute off. We'll see the Rumble crew on the other side. Oh, man. And Kevin, he said he was late because the grocery store ran dry. And one time he was commenting and it was pre-taped. Yeah, we had Will's wedding. We had to go to that. But no, we're live.
All right.
All right. We'll see you guys on the flip side.